say. You want what?
Excuse me. May I have a latte?
You want a coat?
Thank you.
A quote? I thought you said a coat.
Oh, no, keep the change.
And who, may I ask, is this for?
Excuse
me, I'd like an Americano, please.
Thank you.
Oh, what a great wealth and prosperity it is to any realm where merchants be having free liberty and intercourse. Also all merchandise to convey to and fro. Which thing I have used, and the very feet found, and thereby gotten many £1,000. Wherefore now, because of my great riches, throughout this land, in every place doubtless I am magnified and greatly regarded, and for a wise and noble man esteemed. So that's the quote. Will that do you? Right-o, thanks very much. Goodbye then.
Master merchant, I hear you right well. But now in presumption we think ye excel to call yourself noble in presence here, which men know what your ancestors were, and of what great stock descended ye be. Your father was but a blacksmith, perdie.
Why, sir, what then? What be you, I pray you? Or is that my coffee?
Marry,
Ah, lovely, thanks.
I am a gentleman, I would ye know, and may dispend yearly 500 mark land, and I am sure all that ye have in hand of yearly rent is not worth 5 marks.
But I would thou knewest it for all thy cracks. I am able to buy now all the land that thou hast, and pay for it out of hand, which I have got by mine own labour and wit. And that which thou hast, thine ancestors left it.
Yet art thou but a churl, and I have a scorn thou shouldest compare with me, a gentleman born.
Why, what callest thou a gentleman? Tell me.
Marry, I call them gentlemen that be born to great lands by inheritance, as mine ancestors by continuance have had this 500 year, of whom now I am descended and come lineally, bearing the same name and arms also that they bear this 500 year ago. Mine ancestors also have ever been lords, knights, and in great authority, captains in the war and governors, and also in time of peace, great rulers. And thine were never but artificers, as smiths, and masons, carpenters, or weavers.
All that is truth, I will not deny now.
Aha!
Yet I am more gentleman born than thou, for I call him a gentleman that gently doth give unto other men lovingly such thing as he hath of his own proper. But he that taketh aught away from another, and doth give him nothing again, therefore ought to be called a churl evermore. But mine ancestors have given alway to thine ancestors such things as they by their labours did truly get and win. For mine ancestors builded houses, wherein thine ancestors have had their dwelling place. Also, mine ancestors have made tools to all manner crafty men belonging, whereby clothes and every other thing whereof thine ancestors need have had, with the same tools have ever been made. So mine ancestors have given their labours ever to comfort and help thine ancestors.
I deny that ever the ancestors of thine did ever give to the ancestors of mine at any time anything, except that they gave somewhat therefor, either ware or money.
Marry, God a mercy, John, for that now. That is even a pig of our own sow. How can lords and estates have aught in store except artificers do get it before? For all metals be digged first by miners, and after wrought by the artificers. Wool, fell, and every other thing that is necessary to man's covering, and all other things that men use and wear is always made by the artificer.
I grant that the artificers do make it, but because commonly they have little wit, gentlemen that have lands and dominion of all such riches have most possession. For reason will ever it should so be, wise men to have fools in captivity.
Marry, as for wit and subtle invention, mine ancestors with thine may make comparison, For though my father were a smith, what then?
Yes.
Yet was he a marvellous quick-witted man, and could work as well for his part as any in this land using that art, and devise new fashions in things that he made, that every man to buy his ware was glad.
Yes.
And carved and graved in iron and steel both image and letters marvellously well.
Yes.
And thereon lay gold, and gilded also fine and pure as any goldsmith could do.
Yes.
My grandfather also was a mason of great wit as any in this region, and could build a castle and tower right well, in which some of thy kinsmen now do dwell, wherein appeareth right good masonry, with images and arms wrought curiously. My great-grandfather, Law, was a weaver of wool and yarn and of other gear, and made marvellous pleasant works to behold.
Yes.
Linen, diaper, silk, and cloth of gold, all such subtle things as I have rehearsed. Law, mine ancestors by their wits could work and do. And as for thine ancestors,
yes,
I know nothing they could do by their wits worth praising, but use, occupy, and waste evermore such things as mine ancestors made before. And thou and thine ancestors have an occupation of such things wrought by the operation of other men, ought as not to be praised therefore. But the praise ought to be given evermore to the artificer, which by his wit it devised, and so cunningly wrought it. Wherefore, if thou say that wit and policy be the things pertaining to gentry, thine ancestors may never compare with mine, for their acts prove them wiser than thine. For thine did never no thing in their days concerning quick wit that was worthy praise.
Yes, I wist, lewd Javel. I would thou knewest it. Mine ancestors have had more wisdom and wit than thine have had, and could do also many things that thine could never do. For in the country at sessions and size they have been elect to be justice, and for their wit and great discretion they have judged and done correction upon thine ancestors' artificers, that have made false wares and been deceivers, and helped for to maintain everything that is to the commonwealth pertaining. They have been also in time of war, both in this land and other countries far, dukes and leaders of the whole army, and by their wits and warly policy, study, forecast, and diligent travail have won many a great field and battle. And thine ancestors that were there were never able to bear shield nor spear, and were never but soldiers and pioneers, nor never had wisdom to be rulers. But because mine ancestors have ever been discreet and wise, they have had authority.
Nay, thine ancestors came never all to authority for wisdom principle. For though some were wise, yet some of them again had small discretion, little wit or brain. But because of the long continuance of their great possessions by inheritance, by the foolish manner of the world, we see for that cause ever they have had authority.
And I say that good reason agreeth to it. For though the father hath no great wit, the son that is wise should never the more lose his land or authority therefore. For he that by study, diligence, and pain great lands or possessions doth attain, his own life is too short and too light for to take the fruit of his merit. Reason would, therefore, that after his life his heirs before strangers have prerogate use, and the continuance of such possessions maketh noble men and gentle conditions.
Aye, I suppose so.
And they whose blood hath long continued as gentlemen, so they should be honoured. And so mine ancestors long time have been great possessioners and in authority. Therefore, considering my great lineage, my blood, my noble birth and parentage, thou art not able to compare with me, neither in gentleness nor in nobility.
Now here is bibble-babble, clitter-clatter.
Aha!
I heard never so foolish a matter.
Oh,
But by God's body, to speak the truth, I am better than either of you both.
Avaunt, canker churl, from whence comest thou?
Marry, foolish, peevish door, even from my plough.
Oh, you're a carter.
Oh dear.
How sayest? Wouldst anything therewithal?
Yea, marry, thou lewd villain and rude rascal. It is for the full ill beseeming to perturb any gentleman's talking.
Gentlemen? Ye, gentlemen, Jack Herring, put your shoon in your bosom for wearing. I account myself by God's body better than you both, and more worthy.
Avaunt, knave, get thee out of the gate, or I shall lay sword on thy pate.
That shall I prove, I make God avow, never in better time. Have at thee now.
Now hold thy hand, fellow. I thee pray. Oi, hey, and hearken what I shall to thee say.
Say, knave, say, what canst say?
Hold thy hand, I pray thee. I come not near. I am a merchant, and no man of war.
Thou art not honest. I tell thee plainly, to make any quarrel here so suddenly to perturb our communication.
Here ye may see, sirs, by God's passion. Two proud fools make a cracking, and when it come to point, dare do nothing.
Our coming hither and our intent is not to fight, but by way of argument every man to show his opinion, to see who should show the best reason to prove himself noble and most gentleman.
By God, all the reasons since ye began that ye have made thereof be not worth a fly.
No, sir. I pray thee then, tell me why.
First, as touching nobleness, I say that is neither of you both did prove or lay any of your acts whereby that ye should in reason prove you noble to be, or thereby deserve any manner praising. But all the effect of your arguing to prove your nobleness was but only of the deeds and acts of your ancestry, and of the acts that your ancestors did before, ye were the nobler never the more.
As touching myself, I dare make comparison of as noble deeds as the merchant here hath any done. For I am and have been one of the chivalry, at the commandment of my prince ever ready, and every time of war have been captain and leader of 1,000 men or twain, and with horse and harness, spear and shield, have jeoparded my body in every field, and rents of my lands have spent liberally, and kept a great house continually, and helped to punish thieves and bribers alway, to the great tranquillity of my country. And you, master merchant, will never take labour except it be for your own profit and lucre.
Nay.
Go to now, master merchant. There is a reason that giveth you a taunt, I trow, more than you can answer well.
Nay, you wisp, peevish and rude Jack Javel. I can make an answer so substantially whereto neither of you is able to reply.
If thou canst answer my reason, master merchant, do.
That can I well do.
Then go to, fool, go to.
I say, the common weal of every land in feet of merchandise doth principally stand. For if our commodities be uttered for naught into strange lands and no riches brought, hither therefore we should come to beggary, and all men driven to live in misery. Then we noble merchants that in this realm be, what a great wealth to this land do we. We utter our wares, and buy theirs good cheap, and bring them hither with great profit, and pleasure daily cometh to this region to all manner of people that here do won. Furthermore, you see well with your eyes that of strange lands the commodities, we have such need of them that be there, that in no wise we may them forbear, as oil, silk, fruits and spices also, gold, silver, iron, and all the metals more, all drams and drugs longing to physic, which men must needs have when they be sick, which in this realm cannot well grow. Our country is too cold and not hot enough, without which things we should live in misery, and oft times for lack of them we should die. And I spend my study and labour continually, and cause such things to come hither daily, for the comfort of this land and commonwealth, and to all the people great profit and health. And for such noble deeds, reason will then that I ought to be called a nobleman, and neither of you, both that here now be, in nobleness may compare with me.
Oh, Now will it, by God's body, will it? Of one that hath but little wit, answer me one word first, I pray thee. What is the noblest thing that can be?
What sayest thou there to thyself, Master Carter? Let's see.
Is not that the noblest thing indeed, that of all other things hath least need? As God, which reigneth etern in bliss, is not he the noblest thing there is?
Oh, yes, marry, no man in reason can that deny.
Well then, there is no reason thereof why, but because he is the thing omnipotent, and is in himself so sufficient, and needeth the help of no other thing, to the help of his glorious being, but every other thing hath need of his aid.
Marry, that is very true, and well said.
Yes.
And likewise, that thing that hath most need is the thing that is most wretched. So sufficiency is ever nobleness, and necessity is ever wretchedness. And he that hath more need of that thing for the preservation of his living than his fellow hath, his fellow must needs be by this same reason more noble than he.
What then?
By the same reason it proveth low. Ye be but caitives, and wretches both toe, and by the same reason prove I shall, that I am the noblest man of us all.
You?
For I have need of no manner thing that ye can do to help of my living, for everything whereby ye do live I nourish it, and to you both do give. I plough, I till, and I stir the ground, whereby I make the corn to abound, whereof there is made both drink and bread, with the which daily ye must needs be fed. I nourish the cattle and fowls, also fish and herbs and other things mow, fell, hair, and wool, which the beasts do bear, I nourish and preserve, which ye do wear, which if ye had not, no doubt ye should starve for lack of clothes because of cold. So both you should die or live in necessity, if ye had not comfort and help of me. And as for your fine cloth and costly array, I cannot see why ye ought or may call yourself noble because ye wear it, which was made by other men's labour and wit. And also your delicate drinks and viand, by other men's labour be made so pleasant. Therefore, Master Merchant, now to you I say, I cannot see, but I am able, and may live without you or your purveyance. For of food and cloth I have sufficience, of myself for living necessary. And now, Sir Knight, to you I say plainly,
Yes?
I see not that ye can anything do for the commonweal, or aught longing thereto, but each man, being in authority, having wit may do it as well as ye. Therefore, to speak now of necessity, there is neither of you both, but ye be in more need than I. Therefore I say plain, I am more noble than either of you twain.
Now that is a foolish reason, so God me save. For by the same reason, Master Carter, thou wouldst have every beast, fish, and other fowl than to be more noble of birth than a man.
Ha!
For man hath more need of bodily covering than they have, for they need nothing. The beasts have hair, and also a thick skin. The fish scales or shells to keep their bodies in. The fowls feathers, and so everything by nature hath his proper covering, save man himself, which is born all naked, and therefore he should be then most wretched.
Marry, no man can make a better reason, for that is a sure and true conclusion. For if a child, when he is first born, were not helped and covered, he were soon lorn. He hath no strength to help him, never a dell. Yet beasts have power to help themselves well. So, considering man's body indeed, a beast is more noble and a man more wretched, because he hath need of many more things than beasts have to help of their livings. Also, man must daily labour and sweat to get him sustenance as drink and meat. The ground he must dig and the beasts kill, for bread and meat his body to fill, grapes, fruits and herbs nourished diligently to make good drinks to refresh his body. But all brute beasts have covering natural, sufficient to cover their bodies withal, and find their food ever on the ground ready. without any pain, labour or study, so every man by reason of his body is more wretched and in more misery than beasts be.
I suppose so.
Yet this notwithstanding, man is most noble of creatures living, not by his body, for that is impotent, but by his soul being so excellent. For by reason of his soul intellective, he subdueth all other beasts alive, and compelleth all other beasts that be, by his wit, to relieve his necessity. But beasts have no wit themselves to defend, nor can get no more than God hath them send. For take any beast that weareth hair, and do clip it off bare against winter, that beast hath no manner of policy to get other covering for his body of cloth nor skins, nor hath no wit to put it upon him, though one have made it, nor can build no house, nor kindle no fire to warm his body if need should require. But yet a man hath wit and understanding for to help himself in every such thing. So man, for his soul intellectual, is most noble creature of beasts all.
That is a very good and pregnant reason. Yet methinkest thou makest a digression from the argument that we first began, which was to prove who was most gentleman, which we disputed. I would thou hadst heard it.
Tush, I heard what ye said every way.
Then shew thy reason, Master Carter, therein ere thou go.
Nay, Sir Knight, by God, I have somewhat else to do. I must go buy me a ha'porth of grease, the spokes of my cart therewith to dress. Trow ye that I will leave my business for your babbling pomp and foolishness? Nay, by St. Mary, I will not do so, for I can now to the market go, and for an halfpenny as much grease buy as shall cost me in our town a penny. And I tell thee plainly, without any boast, a halfpenny is as well saved as lost.
Straw for an halfpenny? Therein is no waste. Tarry with us a while. Perhaps thou mayest, by our acquaintance, now here get more than thou gattest with thy cart this month before.
Straw for thy counsel, turd, a fart. Showest I will give up my plough or cart, and follow thy foolish appetite and mind. Nay, I am not yet so mad nor so blind, for when I am at my cart or plough, I am more merrier than either of yow. I would not change my life nor my living for to be made a great lord or a king. There is no joy nor pleasure in this world here, but hill belly, fill belly, and make good cheer. Be it prince, lord, gentleman, or knave, it is all the joy that here he can have. But these covetous and ambitious wretches, they set their minds in honours and riches so much that they be never content, so they live ever in pain and torment. But a man that can this means find, to have food and cloth and a merry mind, and to desire no more than is needful, that is in this world the life most joyful, which life in this world no man shall acquire, till he subdue his insatiate desire.
I see well thou hast a cursed apish wit. Then if thou wilt depart, I pray thee yet come again, when thy business is due.
For what intent now should I do so?
For we will in our old argument proceed, who should be called a gentleman indeed, and we will be glad to hear thy reason.
I will come again upon a condition that ye will wait upon me both twain, and be not out of the way when I come again.
We will not be far hence.
Then I will not fail.
Then I pray thee, let not thy promise quail.
Lo, here is my finger. Now trust me well. I will come again if I have my hail. For by God I promise you one thing. I am as true of my word as the king. But if I find you not here, then by my troth, I shall call you openly false knaves both.
Thou shalt find us true in everything.
I think so, except lying and stealing.
Then farewell for a season. Adieu.
Then fare ye well both, I dare say as true as some that be tied at a post in Newgate.
Well, now he's gone.
Thank God.
Godspeed Willie's gate. But what shall we do now, the mean season?
Let us take now some recreation, and come again here and keep our appointment.
Now thereto I am right well content. And in the meanwhile, good Lord of thy grace, preserve all the people here in this place. Pub?
Wine bar?
Pub. over here.
Here I may walk and wander to and fro, but I see not them which I would speak to.
Come on, over here, over here.
We have a table.
Yea, Father Rude, here we be both twain to whom thou didst promise to meet here again, to dispute the question that we began. Which of us could prove him most gentleman?
Thou saidest thou heardest our arguments all.
So did I. Neither good nor substantial, for thy foolish and peevish opinion was because of the great dominion of the lands and rents whereto thou wast bore, which thine ancestors had long time before. Thou thinkest thyself a gentleman to be, and that is a foolish reason, seemeth me, for when Adam doth and Eve span, who was then a gentleman. But then came the churl, and gathered good, and there began first the gentle blood. And I think verily ye do believe that we came all of Adam and Eve. Then to speak by reason, great possessions make no gentleman but gentle conditions. That is the cause and best reason why one should be called a gentleman, true lie. And furthermore, mark well this reason then, if a man's ancestors have been gentlemen, and virtuous, and good to common weal, that ought to be reported never dull, to the praise of the child which doth refuse such good conditions in the contrary use. But he ought to be dispraised the more because his ancestors have showed him before a precedent of gentleness and virtue, which good example he doth not ensue. For the gentleness of his blood clearly in him doth decay and utterly die. So he that useth conditions virtuous, though that his ancestors were vicious, ought not to be dispraised therefore, but ought to be honoured and praised the more.
Yet methinketh more honour should be given to him which is of noble blood and kin.
Then, if thou wilt look honoured to be because of thy blood, then mark well and see the vilest beggar that goeth by the door. Had ye not both one God and Creator? Ye came of one first stock and progeny, both of Adam and Eve, ye will not deny. The beggar and thou were both, doubtless, conceived and born in filth and uncleanness. Thy blood and the beggar's of one colour be, thou art as apt to take sickness as he. If thou be in the body wounded, thy flesh is as ill as his to be healed. Alas, I've known many ere this, so proud of their birth that all their lives would give them to no labour nor learning, which brought them to miserable ending, that in poverty wretchedly did die, or fall into theft and hanged their full high. So I say virtue in good conditions, then, is that which maketh the very gentleman. And though the father may bequeath to his son his riches, his land, and his possession, yet may he neither give nor bequeath unto him in no wise after his death his virtue nor his gentle conditions. They cannot descend as other possessions. And if thou wilt be a gentleman needs, thou must then use virtue and gentle deeds.
Oh, why desire men then praise evermore of the acts of their ancestors done before?
One cause thereof is for lack of learning. They perceive not the reason of the thing. Another is because there be many that call themselves gentlemen unworthy, which live voluptuously and bestial, and do no good in the world at all, but live in pride, sloth, and unthriftiness. And because they have no manner goodness, nor property, nor virtue in them whereby any man should think them any praiseworthy, therefore they seek for commendation of the acts that their ancestors have done.
Then I marvel men desire to be called of the blood of them that excelled in worldly honour as kings and emperors, where some were tyrants, some were conquerors. And few desire to be called of their blood which have been called just men, virtuous and good, and used indifferent justice and equity, meekness, abstinence, or wilful poverty.
If I should tell thee the very cause true, it is because they love no such virtue, which virtue and gentle conditions should be, longing to gentlemen of property.
If gentle conditions be the cause, lo, then will I compare with both you two. For I have ever used gentle manner, and so have mine ancestors that before were. For first of all, when this world began, long after there were but few people then, men had sufficient of everything, without great labour for food and clothing. all thing was in common among them, doubtless. But afterward, when people did increase, each man to increase his pleasure and volupty of goods and lands desired property, whereof great strife and debate did arise. Then such as mine ancestors were that were wise, did study to make laws how the people might be, living together in peace and unity, and against enemies always defended the people that tilled the ground and laboured. The people, perceiving then their goodness, their great wit, discretion, and gentleness, were content to give them part of the profit coming of their lands, which they did get as corn, cattle, and such things as they won. But after, when that coin of money began, they changed those revenues, and were content to give them in money an annual rent. So, for their good and virtuous conditions, they came first to lands and possessions. So possessions began, and were first found upon a good and reasonable ground.
By Gog, sweet body, thou liest falsely. All possessions began first of tyranny, for when people began first to increase, some gave themselves all to idleness, and would not labour, but take by violence that other men gat by labour and diligence. Then they that laboured were fain to give them part of their gettings in peace to live, or else for their lands money a portion. So possessions began by extortion. And when such extortioners had oppressed the labouring people, then they ordained and made laws marvellous straight and hard, that their heirs might enjoy it afterward. So the law of inheritance was first begun, which is a thing against all good reason that any inheritance in the world should be.
That is a shameful opinion, seemeth me. For whether I have laboured and by great study got and purchased lands truly, it is good reason that I have liberty to give those lands to whom it liketh me, or else to let them descend lineally to my child or cousin of my blood most nigh. For inheritance must needs be a good thing, because so much good thereof is proceeding. Every man to his blood such love doth bear, because the land shall descend to his heir. He will build thereon, and the land improve, and make corn and grass to increase and grow, graft fruit, set trees, and nourish timber, and to increase fish make ponds with water, stock bushes and weeds which destroy herbage, and all barren ground bring to tillage, and amend the highways that be thereabout, and do many other good deeds, no doubt, for the profit of his heirs that shall be, and for the commonwealth of his country, which things surely he would never intend, if the land should not to his heir descend.
By thy reason, Sir Knight, no other thing is meant but a good deed upon an evil intent. When men for love or pride do such good deeds, the devil therefore shall quit them their meeds.
Whether God or the devil quit them therefore is now to our purpose never the more, for their minds and intent no man can tell. But touching inheritance, this I wot well, much good cometh thereof, and daily doth grow.
Nay, much ill cometh thereof, I shall prove how. For these men that be of great possessions, unto their blood of such affections, if any land like them that lieth nigh them, of their poor neighbours, they will destroy them. Or by extort means they will then compel the land for half the money worth to sell. And when they take money, they will alway ever borrow and never willing to pay. And when they shall die, ye shall see the experience. Few of them have remorse of conscience to make any manner of restitution of any land so wrongfully gotten.
Ah, thou hast spoke sore against gentlemen. But what sayest thou of merchants, then?
Yea, what about I?
Many be good, and worshipful also, and many charitable deeds they do, build churches and amend the highways, make almshouses and help many decays. But some be covetous, and full falsely get their goods by deceit and usury. And when they have £1,000 in their coffers, they will rather suffer their neighbours to starve for hunger and cold and to die, or they will give them to help them a penny.
Nay.
Yet, moreover, when any of them be promoted to rule or authority, they disdain all learning, law, and reason, and judge all by will and affection.
Thou art but a railer to speak so sore against gentlemen and merchants evermore.
Yes, that's
Be
right.
not ploughmen and others that drive the cart, and such rustical fellows as thou art, false shrews,
You tell
and
me.
live as viciously also as gentlemen of lands and merchants do.
Yes, these villain carters. Almost each one have neither conscience nor devotion.
Aye, well said.
For bribe and steal everything they will, if they may secretly come there until.
That's right, you tell him.
But as for prayer and divine service, they love them in no manner wise, nor never would labour nor work do, if need of living drove them not thereto.
Yet, gentlemen and the rich merchants that be, use much more vice and iniquity.
I thinkest all merchants and gentlemen not.
Nay, I say not so, that is not my thought. I am not yet so foolish or so mad, for I know many good, though some be bad, yet some will suffer his debts unpaid to be, and die and jeopard his soul, rather than he will any of his lands minish and impair, that should after his death come to his heir. And some of them, so proud be of their blood, and use small virtue, and do little good, but give all their minds and their study to oppress the poor people by tyranny, and some of them think this for a surety is the most honour to them that can be, to be able for to do extortion, and to maintain it without punction.
By Gog's sweet body, thou art a stark knave, noblemen and gentlemen so to deprave.
What, thou proud awesome fool, whom dost thou knave? I trow thou wouldest a good blow or two have, with a good whipstock to teach thee courtesy.
Avaunt, beggarly knave, I thee defy.
What, wilt thou wage battle by and by now? That shall I prove straight, I make God a vow.
Keep the peace, masters. Hold your hands for shame. To make this business ye be greatly to blame. You will disturb all this whole company.
Nay, marry, it is a cause to make them merry to walk such a proud fool is but sport and game.
Oh, by cock's body, were not for worldly shame I should cut thy flesh, or else see thy heart's blood.
Sir, hold your tongue. Your words be nothing good. We lose here with this lewd altercation much good pastime and recreation.
Why, what better pastime here canst thou have than to hear one to call another knave, and see such a proud fool walked with a whip?
But I love it not. Therefore, of fellowship, leave this brabbling, and with good argument try the matter that is most convenient.
Nay, I will try it, howsoever he will. Be it with words or deeds, I will answer him still, for by God, if he will not be content to be concluded by good argument, I will conclude him one way ere that I go, or I shall prove it on his pate, that shall I do.
Thou speakest like a clerk that hath little wit, when a case is put if he cannot soil it. By no manner reason that he can lay, then he will answer him this wise, and say, Beware what ye say, sir, now I advise yow, for it is treason or heresy that ye speak now, to the intent to rebuke him openly before the unlearned people that stand thereby. Oh, and if he can no colour of such thing find, then will he vex and chaff in his mind, and cast out some lewd words of quarrelling, to turn the whole matter to chiding and fighting. And so dost thou now, like one that were mad.
Nay, I would thou knewest, thou foolish lad, I am neither mad nor drunken yet. For mine opinion, I have well proved it by substantial reason and argument that inheritance is not convenient, and show better reasons than thou canst do.
Nay, thy reasons may soon be answered unto. For God defend that estates of inheritance should be destroyed. For by that good ordinance, gentlemen of lands undoubtedly bring up their children full honourably. Some put to the school to learn cunning, to instruct the people in virtuous living. Some made to be active in martial deeds, able to defend the land when need is. And the rustical people that have no land, such things be not able to take in hand. Wherefore, if we should destroy inheritance, we should destroy all good rule and ordinance.
But such men as have great rents and lands, and no estate but term of their lives, and everything thereon will nourish and save, for the great zeal and love that they only have to the commonwealth of their country. And for God's sake, lo, these people be they that be worthy to have possessions. And such people of virtuous conditions, and no other, should be chosen governors. and they should have lands to maintain their honours term of their lives as long as they take pain for the Commonwealth. This is good reason plain, so that no man ought to have any land but such as be apt and have charge in hand for the Commonwealth,
Never.
as princes and rulers, bishops, curates, preachers and teachers, judges, ministers and other officers, that of the Commonwealth be executors, and valiant men of the chivalry, that be bound to defend the people daily. Such men as be apt to all such things should have lands to maintain their livings. So inheritance is not beseeming to let them have lands that can do no such thing. Nor I think it not reasonable neither one man to live by labour of another, for each man is born to labour truly, as a bird is to fly naturally. Nor a man ought not to have such liberty to leave lands to his child, whereby that he shall lust for to live in sloth and gluttony, compelled to do naught but live voluptuously.
There is always good remedy for that. That is to compel them to do somewhat, so that each man, having inheritance, have some authority and governance, wherein he should take pain and busyness to constrain him to eschew idleness.
Then this great mischief should follow of it. Oft times they should rule that have little wit, or disposed to be proud and covetous, or live after their lusts voluptuous, which, if such men had authority, many things no doubt misordered should be. Where justice should be, there would be tyranny. Where peace should be, war, debate, and envy. So there is no good reason that I can see to prove that any inheritance should be.
Yes, that shall I prove by good authority. For read in the Bible, and thou shalt therein see, God said to Abraham, Tibi dabu teram hanc et semine tuo. Which is as much as to say, to expound it true, I shall give this land to thee and thine issue. Here is a good proof that it was God's will that Abraham and his blood should continue still as possessioners, and have the governance of that land as their proper inheritance.
Thou answerest me now even like a fool, as some of these fond clerks that go to school, where one putteth to them a subtle question of philosophy to be proved by reason, when they have all their wits and reasons spend, and cannot tell how their part to defend, then will they allege some authority of the laws or else of divinity, which in no wise men may deny. And yet ye know well that of philosophy the principles oft contrariant be unto the very ground of divinity. For the philosophers agree hereunto, quod mundus fuit semper ab aeterno, and divines, quod in principio omnium creveat deus terram et celum. But thou didst promise openly even now only by natural reason to prove how the inheritance ought for to be had.
By Gog's bodies, sirs, I hold you both mad. Ye be like some women that I know well, when they would any matter unto a man tell. They will tell 20 tales by the way, nothing to purpose to the matter that they did first intend to tell and declare. And in like manner now both ye do fare, for ye dispute now whether inheritance be a reasonable thing or a good ordinance, which is a matter nothing pertaining to the question moved at the beginning. For the question was, which of us all three could prove himself most gentleman to be?
As touching that we have all spoke and said, each man for his part as much as can be laid.
Nay, I have yet reasons, left whereby I can prove myself of us all most gentleman, that neither of you both can void by reason.
If thou have aught else to say, now speak on.
Then to you both, answer me this short clause, is not gentle conditions the most principal cause to make one to be a gentleman?
Peradventure it may be so, what then?
Peradventure, quotha? Nay, I shall prove that by examples many on. For music maketh one a musician, grammar to be a good grammarian, and also geometry a good geometrician, and churlish conditions a churl for to be, and so of every other state and degree. And where gentle conditions be, doubtless, in any person there is gentleness. Then, as virtue maketh a good man, so gentle conditions a gentleman.
All those points I think must needs granted be. What arguest more? Thereof, let us see.
How sayest then to pride, wrath, and envy?
Oh, they be naught and evil, I think, verily.
What is meekness, patience, and charity?
Every one a gentle and good property.
What is covetise and liberality?
The first good, the other naught, for surety.
What is gluttony, sloth, and lechery?
They be naught all. Who can that deny?
What abstinence, good business, and chastity?
Virtuous and gentle properties they be.
Sith ye have granted this, I shall prove plain. I am a gentleman, so is none of you twain.
No.
First, for pride, your raiment showeth what ye be. For ye will never be content, except that ye have the finest cloth and silk for to wear, of orient colours and all your gear, so costly your houses gilt gloriously, as though ye would therein yourself deify. Ye covet evermore goods, lands, and rents. Whatsoever ye get, ye never content. Wrathful ye be moved to anger anon, and envious, disdaining every man. And as for me, I am content alway with a poor cottage and simple array. I disdain no man, and yet patiently can suffer to be called knave and not angry. Sometime I call him knave again in haste, and when I have said my anger is past, ha! Ye have your bed so pleasant and soft, wherein ye ease yourselves too long and too oft, which maketh your bodies so tender to be, that ye cannot endure labour like me. With no manner of coarse food ye will be fed, but with pleasant wines and most whitest bread, with flesh and fish most delicate and fat, all fruits and spices that can be gat. And when ye have had such pleasant refections, to assuage your carnal insurrections, whatsoever she be, wife, widow, or maid, if she come in the way, she shall be assayed.
Thou liar, slanderous churl.
Oh, yes.
For I think of troth thou usest such vice more than we both.
Nay, by cock's body, I use no such life, for I am content with Black Maud, my wife. Trow ye that I care for these nice proud prims, these painted popinjays that hold up their chins, and look so smuttily, as who say they would have every man wooed them that doth them behold. Tut, man, for all such venereal work, as good is the foul as the fair in the dark.
Ah, thou sayest true. Draught is good enough for swine.
Yet thou answerest to no reason of mine.
Thy reasons all right well answer I can. For I say it becometh a noble man to have rich apparel and clothing, and goodly houses of costly building, and that each man, according to his degree, be known from other and what they be. For if such costly things were not made, work for poor people could never be had, and many folks then should fall to idleness, which is the mother of vice and wretchedness.
Yea, but I delight no such vanities worldly. I delight neither in sloth nor gluttony. I dig and delve, and labour for my living, never idle, but somewhat ever doing. Daily I run and go bare, sweat and swink.
Sweat,
I eat brown bread and drink small drink, content with coarse meat, whatsoever it be. So it quench the hunger, it sufficeth me. These points I use which I have rehearsed now. Be not these gentle conditions, I pray you?
If thou use them, need compelleth thee thereto. For if thou couldst, hardly thou would otherwise do.
What I would do then ye cannot tell. It is not to purpose, but this I wot well, since that I use my life in such good manner, with such gentle conditions expressed here, more than ye both do still continuing, and since that gentle conditions is the thing to make a gentleman the cause principal, wherein I use my life most of us all, who can by any reason deny then that I am of us all most gentleman?
Oh, in faith, if thou be gentleman therefore, thou art a gentleman against thy will. Full sure.
Since I see he standeth in his own conceit so well, that opinion we shall never expel from him by no argument nor reason. Therefore now for a little season let us depart from him. I hold it best. Then we shall have with him some rest.
I agree thereto, for Cato saith this: Contra verbosa nolli contendere verbis. contend nor argue never in no matter with him that is full of words and clatter.
Wherefore a season let us both depart.
I am agreed thereto, with all mine heart.
Why, sirs, then will ye depart and be gone?
Yea, that we will. Farewell for a season. For to tarry here longer we see no great cause.
Then fare ye well.
Fare ye well.
Bye then.
As wise as two doors, and I pray God send you such grace both twain, to be stark cuckolds ere ye come again. Now, masters, they be both gone away. Therefore, one word. Now hark what I say. We see well now by plain experience when a man is set in a wilful credence, all to fortify his own opinion, if God himself would then with him reason, in effect it shall no more avail than with a whip to drive forth a snail. Therefore no remedy is that I can see for evil men that be in authority, but let them alone till God will send a time till our governors may intend of all enormities the reformation, and bring in their hands the rod of correction, and the reforming of injuries themselves see, and will say precisely, thus it shall be. For exhortations, teaching and preaching, jesting and railing, they mean no thing, for the amendment of the world is not in me, nor all the great arguments that we three have made sith we reasoned here together, do not prevail the weight of a feather, for the helping of anything that is amiss. We cannot help it then, since it so is. I will let the world wag, and home will I go, and drive the plough as I was wont to do, and pray God send us peace. I will no farmel. Therefore, masters all, now fare ye well.
Oh, now by my troth, I am glad that Carter is gone.
And so am I, by sweet St. John. I heard not a churl this 7 years show such cursed reasons as he hath done here for the maintenance of his opinion. Yet he is deceived for all his reason. For it is necessary that rulers be to have possessions to maintain their degree, and those few to drive the multitude, all of the other people to labour to fall. For if the rulers drove them not thereto, the people would be idle, and nothing do.
And most reason is that governance should come to such rulers by inheritance, rather than to have them choose by election, oft times by dread, meed, and affection, men of evil conscience that great tyrants be. Read old chronicles, the proof ye shall see. And though they have great wit and learning, yet so proud they be thereof, they fear nothing, neither God nor man, but evermore still without counsel or advice follow their own will. But they that by inheritance rulers be, though they have no great learning, yet we see it maketh them more fearful and better content to follow wise men's counsel and advisement. And since that it hath been so long continued, inheritors to have rule and so long used, and that they have ruled by as good discretion as the other that they have chosen by election. If that order of rule by succession of blood should be destroyed, it should do hurt and no good.
That reason is so great no man can debar. Nevertheless, that churlish knave, that Carter, after his fond opinion, thinketh thus himself more gentleman than us.
And therein he lieth. For by experience we see that gentle conditions most commonly be in them that be of noble blood born. For take 20 Carters, which never were before acquainted, let them be together. Take 20 strange gentlemen in like manner. Now these churlish Carters, I dare well say, will not agree together scant one day without chiding, quarrelling, or fighting. Each one will steal from other, and be piking, and strive which of them at the Scot shall pay least, and endeavour them who can play the knave best. But these gentlemen, I warrant you, will study who can show to other most courtesy, and of their gentleness will proffer to pay for the other, and show what pleasures they may. So touching gentleness, I say surely men of great birth use it most commonly.
There can be no truer saying nor sentence, and the cause thereof we see by experience. For these poor wretches that have nothing must be niggards, churlish and sparing. But gentlemen be taught to be liberal, and so they may be, for they have wherewithal.
And as touching nobleness, that argument which the ploughman made late proveth evident, that gentlemen born to land must needs be for sufficiency of most nobility. For besides God's gift of grace and of nature, as wit and bodily strength, yet they be sure of other riches as of land and rent to avoid need, so they be more sufficient of themselves than other poor people, doubtless. Then, if need of strange help cause wretchedness and sufficience because of nobility, men born to great lands must needs most noble be. For it is impossible that nobleness be in them which live in need and wretchedness.
A better reason no man can devise. And yet furthermore I think likewise he that hath great abundance of riches may use liberality and gentleness. And also it is ever necessary that some live in wealth and some in misery. And let churls babble and say what they will. It hath been so ever, and will be so still. For it is Almighty God's purveyance wise men of fools to have the governance. And they that rule well, I beseech Jesu, send them good life, and long to continue.
Amen.
Ye sovereigns all, discreet and excellent, before whom this dialogue showeth be, touching 3 points by way of argument. First, what is gentleness, and what nobility, and who should be chose to high authority? These questions, they be so high and subtle, few dare presume to define them well. Yet I think now, under your corrections, the thing that maketh the gentleman to be is but virtue, and gentle conditions, which, as well in poor men oft times we see, as in men of great birth or high degree, and also vicious and churlish conditions may be in men born to great possessions. And further, as touching nobility, yet standeth much part, I think, doubtless, in sufficiency. Reason doth agree. But that sufficience making nobleness must needs be annexed unto goodness. For sufficience is not the cause principle that God is noble, but his goodness withal. So virtue is ever the thing principle that gentleness and nobleness doth ensue. Then these heads, rulers, and governors all should come thereto because of their virtue, and in authority they ought not continue except they be good men, discreet and wise, and have a love and zeal unto justice. Wherefore, sovereigns all that here present be, now mark well these reasons here brought in, both against men of high and of low degree, for this intent only, to rebuke sin. For the best way that is for one to begin to convert the people by exhortation is to persuade them by natural reason. For when that a man by his own reason judgeth himself for to offend, that grudgeth his conscience, and giveth compunction into his heart to cause him amend. But such blind beasts that will not intend to hear no good counsel nor reason, ought by the law to have sharp correction. Then, if the laws be not sufficient, which should be made and ordained before, to give therefore condign punishment, the princes and governors be bound evermore to cause new laws to be made therefore, and to put such men in authority that good men just and indifferent be. But because that men of nature evermore be frail and following sensuality, it is impossible in a manner therefore for any governors that be in authority at all times just and indifferent to be, except they be bridled, and thereto compelled by some straight laws for them devised, as thus, that no man such room occupy but certain years, and then to be removed. Yet that while bound to attend diligently, and if he offend and surely proved, without any favour that he be punished. For the punishment of a judge or officer doth more good than 1,000 other. And until that such orders be devised substantially and put in execution, look never to see the world amended, nor the great mischiefs the Reformation, but they that be bound to see the things done, I pray God of his grace to put in their minds to reform shortly such things amiss. And though that I myself now, per case, thus mine opinion have published, or any of my fellows here in this place in any point here have us abused, we beseech you to hold us excused. And so the author hereof requireth you all, and thus I commit you to God eternal. Amen.